Question Q11. I often get confused answering multiple choice questions. How can I avoid that confusion? Well, first of all, you must know that multiple choice questions can be written to test knowledge at varying levels of difficulty. You might call them easy, medium, or hard. The license exam itself is comprised of a number of questions covering all of the content contained in the examination content outline. Now, that ECO is produced by your state's insurance leadership to make sure it tests everything that's supposed to be tested. Therefore, painstaking effort has been made by those of us and our developers here at MaxQ to ensure that all of the material that's listed in the examination content outline is covered in the text and in this video course. We will teach you everything you need to know to pass your license exam. As I said before, each license exam has easy, medium, and hard level questions that will cover each chapter in the content. Therefore, it is vital that when you are answering a practice question, that you understand exactly what the stem of that question is asking before you look at the four available choices. You must learn to read, understand, and decipher the stem of the question, clearly identifying to yourself what the stem is looking for before you look at any of the available choices. So we're going to introduce you to a simple process that you can use to great effect when answering every type of exam question you'll see on the exam. So let's start with a very basic question and teach you a new technique for approaching or answering multiple choice questions. We call this the 7 steps of finding the right answer in multiple choice questions. Step 1 will be covering all 4 choices and leaving only the stem visible. Step 2 will be rephrasing the stem. Step 3, you will then slide to reveal only the first choice. Now, that's usually going to be marked as a choice A. Step 4, you will ask your rephrased question in regards to choice A, and then you will put a mark as to how that choice reflects the answer. This will become abundantly clear in a moment. We're going to mark them with either a plus, a minus, or a question mark. Next, in step 5, you'll slide to reveal and mark each turn. B, and place a mark. C, and place a mark. Choice D, and place a mark. Then you will cover all 4 choices and evaluate only the marks you've written down. Sometimes we will refer to that as your pattern of responses. And then step 7, you will commit to the obvious choice and select it on the computer. Now, I just gave you 7 steps of test-taking wonderment. We're going to do this a number of times, so you will understand this process by the time we're done explaining it, and then you will have well over 140 chances to apply it. As we introduce you to this technique, there's a reality we have to talk about. Most of the practice questions you'll be completing will either be in your book or on the screen. In fact, if you're doing the course, most of them are going to be on the screen itself. But it's important that you write down the pattern of responses that we're going to introduce you to here in just a moment. So get a separate sheet of paper and a pen, and you're going to be writing down each of these marks that we're going to address, because there's no way for you to write the pattern of responses on the screen. This will become very clear in a moment as we address this question. Okay, so let us look at the very first question. Remember, the goal here is to apply the 7-step process, not specifically to answer the question correctly. So the first question reads, regarding the sky, which statement is true? Choice A, the sky is always green. Choice B, the sky is filled with nimbus clouds. Choice C, the sky is empty. Choice D, the sky is blue. So if you're a novice, you're going to grab the answer, most likely, and just move on to the next question. But we're applying the technique. So the first thing we're going to do is cover up the choices, leaving only the stem visible. So literally that'll look like this. You'll just cover up the 4 choices. and all you'll see is the stem of the question that says regarding the sky, which statement is true. So the second step was to rephrase the stem. So your stem, you might rephrase it to be even a little easier than it already is. Is this true about the sky? So now you're clear in your mind, you're looking for the answer to the question, is this true about the sky? And so now you're going to slide your hand down a little bit and you're going to reveal choice A and only choice A. So now you'll read and you'll have in your head the rephrase, is this true about the sky? And you'll read choice A. The sky is always green. Well, clearly the sky is not always green. So what you will do is to the left of that choice A, you'll put a little minus sign. Just a little dash like that, just a little minus sign. Why? Because the sky is not always green. So therefore choice A is not answering our rephrase correctly. So now we'll slide our hand down a little bit more and we'll look at choice B. It says the sky is filled with nimbus clouds. I don't know what nimbus clouds are, so I'm just going to put a question mark to the left of choice B. Now I'm going to slide my hand down again. I'm going to read choice C. The sky is empty. The sky isn't empty and it's got clouds in it. I'm just going to put a minus sign or a question mark. Let's go with a minus sign because we know the sky is not empty. So now I'm going to slide my hand down and I'm going to look at choice D. It says the sky is blue. So clearly the sky is blue, so I'm going to put a plus sign next to choice D. Okay, so now that we have all four choices written down, now what you're going to do is rotate your hand and cover up the words so that the only thing you're looking at is that pattern of responses. And you can clearly see that we have a minus sign, a question mark, a minus sign, and a plus sign. So if I have two minus signs, clearly that can't be the answer because there's two answers that are the same. And so clearly now the answer is my plus sign. So what I'm going to do is circle that plus sign on my paper, recognize that it is choice D. I'm going to look back to my computer screen and I'm going to choose choice D on the computer and then click next to move on to the next question. All right, so let's use this technique again with a more difficult question, and I think its value will begin to reveal itself to you. So the next question reads, regarding the underwriting process used by an insurer for a health insurance application it has received, what is used as the primary source of information? Choice A says the agent's report. Choice B says the medical inspector's report. Choice C says the applicant phone interview with the underwriting department. And choice D says the application itself. Now, obviously you're new to the industry at this point. You're wondering what in the world they're talking about. We're concentrating on the technique. So step one, we're going to cover up all four choices, leaving only the stem visible. And I'm going to rephrase the stem and notice what I do here. What they're really asking in the question is what is the primary source of underwriting information? Do you see that in the bottom part of the stem? What is the primary source of the underwriting information? Good. So I hope you can see that. What I'm doing is avoiding a lot of the excess words that are in the stem, and I'm just looking for the key component in the stem that they're looking for. And that happens to be in the last part of that stem, in that phrase, the primary source of information. So now that we've got that step done and we've rephrased the question, let's move on to the next step. And we're going to slide our hand down and reveal choice A. And it says the agent's report. So now what I have to ask myself, is the agent's report the primary source of underwriting information, which was the rephrase that I did? And I know as an insurance agent that the agent's report is not the primary source of underwriting information. So I'm going to put a minus sign there next to A. Now I'm going to slide my hand down and look at choice B, the medical inspector's report. Well, you might say, I don't know what that is, so you could put a question mark next to that one. But more than likely, as a person who's maybe purchased some insurance, you know that the medical inspector's report is not the primary source of information, but you could just put a question mark because you don't know what that is. So just put a question mark. So now you're going to slide down and look at the next choice, choice C, which says the applicant's phone interview with the insurance company's underwriter. Well, I'm just going to put a minus sign next to that one because I know that's not the primary source of information because the underwriter's using something else during the phone interview. So a minus sign on choice C. Then I slide my hand down again. I look at choice D. It says the application itself. And the application itself is the primary source of information. That gets a plus sign. So now I rotate my hand, cover up the words, and I look only at my pattern. I have a minus sign, a question mark, a minus sign, and a plus sign. Again, clearly the plus sign's the answer. Circle it on my paper. Choose choice D on the computer. I'm done with that question and moving on. Now, a note here. Once you've chosen an answer, do not go back and reread the question or go back and look at the stem and then start rereading your choices and then go back and look at the stem and rereading your choices or let your eyes start jumping up and down, back and forth like this. It's a very natural thing to do. It's the one thing you cannot do. When you look at your pattern and you've committed to an answer, choose it on the computer, move on to the next question. Now, let's use this technique one more time. Again, you're going to use your hand and cover up all four choices, leaving only the stem visible. A tax cost typically associated with death is. Now, I'm covering up my choices, so right now I don't know what my choices are, so I'm going to rephrase my stem, step 2. So I might rephrase it this way. When I die, is this a tax to be paid? So again, slide my hand down and look at choice A. It says federal estate tax. Yeah, if you have a whole lot of money, you might have to pay federal estate tax upon your death. Choice A gets a plus sign. So now I slide my hand down and I look at choice B, life insurance proceeds tax. Well, you might know what that is because it's a wrong answer and you can put a minus sign. If you don't know what that is, you might put a question mark. That'd be okay. So now we look at choice C by sliding my hand down again. Excise tax. I do not have a clue what excise tax is. That one absolutely gets a question mark. Now I slide my hand down again and I reveal choice D. It says state sales tax. Sales tax? What's being sold when I die? That's a minus sign or a question mark. So now I cover up my pattern of responses, cover up the words, leave my pattern of responses revealed, and you either have a plus sign and 3 minus signs, or a plus sign and a couple of question marks, or 2 minus signs and a question mark. You see, you're going to have potentially a different pattern of responses than mine. The reality is, though, you have 1 plus sign and a bunch of other things. You were asking a positively framed question. When I die, is this a tax to be paid? So therefore, I'm looking for the plus sign. In my pattern, that's choice A. I select choice A on the computer, and I move on to the next question. We are going to strongly encourage you to use this technique on every single question so that by the time you get to the actual license exam, you will have a complete understanding of the value of this process. When you gain that experience, you will find it'll increase the pace at which you complete the questions on the license exam by roughly about 25%. That's what our experience tells us after 10,000 folks taking license exams. It'll speed you up about 25%. That allows you confidence to take your time on the really challenging questions. So as we go through this course, stick with the technique. Yeah, it's going to take you 8, 10, 15 questions to really get comfortable using it and sliding your hand, which is going to feel a little awkward, and writing the pattern down on the paper, and then selecting the choice on the computer. Do every step, and you will find this will significantly reduce your confusion and maximize your chances of finding the correct answer. Because remember, when you know the content, The exam is simple, and this is one of the reasons why we make that statement.